Well, maybe you could just drop
I
it
still
off.
get mail for Julie all the time. I should actually do that.
Well, there, right?
Yeah. Mock Cemetery, 1452 Virginia Avenue, Thor, Iowa, 50501. Yeah. I think her plot is number 19. That'll get him thinking, woman.
Yeah.
All I get is life insurance claims for it.
Oh,
Buy this insurance now, I'm like, no, that's awfully tempting.
sick of the millions of dollars that are spent on mail going to places that
419.
don't exist anymore.
Mhm.
And they can still afford to be in the insurance business.
Right.
Well, you out to the wiener roast last night?
Yeah.
Actually, I had two of them. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
Save the world.
yeah. You know,
Or a little corner of it anyways.
I worked up a field for Benkins on Saturday, and when I was in the machine shed, I was looking at that mower wishing I had one like that. I think I can have it now.
You can get it really cheap.
You might be able to get it.
You'll get a deal on that one.
Might get the frame.
Yeah, you guys saved the frame, I saw
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Conflagration would be.
My nephew
Just north of where
hit
you live.
the LP line going from the tank to the, it's just a hose on the ground, which
Short going down Mason City. Ended up not
Fire
going.
chief doesn't want to know.
shouldn't have been there. And he hit it with the mower,
Oh,
and it ignited.
Yeah, oh,
And the tank, I think, was full of LP.
hot day was Saturday. It was still windy.
So, yeah. Good part is we did training. We've done several trainings on it. But here's
We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nine AM, oh no, excuse me. Consider for approval of minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda.
Oh,
Oh, you're not up at all.
I need you to add to the agenda set public hearing for,
Underwear.
wherever,
Number 15.
maybe under, make it a new 4A.
Set public hearing.
Set public hearing for proposed action to institute proceedings into general loan agreement into a principal loan amount not to exceed $3.34 million.
For the refund.
Yes.
Okay, set public
Okay,
hearing.
I will amend my motion to approve the minutes and agenda to add 4A, set the public hearing, as you stated,
For refunding.
for refunding the public safety center bonds.
I'll second the motion. On a motion from Jensvold and a second from Derby to approve the minutes and agenda as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. 9 AM, consider for approval of resolution to postpone tax sale.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, it's the same letter. Hopefully this is the last month. We are planning to go ahead with the tax sale next month. Right now, our delinquency is about $375,000, and that's for 18 and 19. And we just sent out delinquent letters, so hopefully taxes will be coming in.
What do we typically have in 1 year?
Oh, I suppose about this amount to begin with. And then, when the delinquent letters go out, a lot of people pay. So when we go to a tax sale, 2 years ago, it was about $140,000. So it wasn't too bad.
Well, what's the wishes of the board?
I'll make the motion to approve that resolution to postpone the tax sale.
I'll second.
On a motion from Smith and a second from Jensvold to approve the resolution to postpone tax sale for 1 more month. All those in favor say aye.
Before we
Oh,
go
sorry.
to, how much longer do you think we're gonna have to do this?
This is it.
This
Th-
is
th-
it.
this
She
is
said.
it.
This
That's what
should
you
be
said.
the last month that we have to do it because in June is when we normally hold the tax sale.
Yeah.
And we are planning on doing that.
All right,
The packets are being done, stuff is being done.
I should have been listening.
That's okay. You got a lot on your mind. So yeah, this should be the last month and we can go forward next month unless things change.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
And you wanna date it too up here? It's the 4th.
You want it stamped also, or
Yep,
Approved.
please.
your job, Bill?
And then I think Terry gets
He's
to
been
sign
gone a
it.
lot lately.
Yeah, I missed a few meetings and
So
I
you
can
took
see
over.
that my privileges have been taken away from me.
Mhm.
I'm giving them back to you right now, but I'm leaving this part to
Okay,
you.
Carla, can I have?
I was kind of pouting as you were over there changing the dates on it.
Discussing with possible action regarding COVID-19 policies. Julie Sorensen, are you on the phone?
She's got a clinic this morning,
Okay,
so she
all
didn't
right.
think she would be able to make it.
Okay. So I'm still getting a lot of people wondering about the treasurer's office, when and how they're gonna open up more freely for,
We are pretty well open up,
okay, so
but
it's
they
just
still
the,
need to make appointments for driver's license and titles.
okay, so titles and driver's licenses, the stickers and stuff like that, you're open, okay,
Titles and that is by appointment.
okay, all right. It was tending to create a lot of tension. There were a lot of people that were upset about it, so.
Well, a lot of people have told us they like it that way. We haven't heard that, and I'm still waiting for you to come down and tell me.
Well, it's probably too many people and I'm not
Okay.
gonna, I don't think it's in the
Well,
best
they can
interest of the
just-
county to let that be known.
Right, so they can just come in, they can call,
Okay,
and that's what people have been doing.
but some of them, come from a long ways away, they don't work around here and we're turned away and.
No, we're not. We're helping everybody that comes in.
Okay, anything else for COVID-19 policies?
Good morning, guys. I kind of can sneak in real quick here in between shots. Do you have any questions for me?
So you're actually getting people to take shots?
We have our boost clinic today from a month ago.
Okay. But we're not getting a whole lot of interest otherwise, huh?
No, my list is very short.
All right,
So I think who want it have gotten it.
all right,
This week, last week when we had our HON alert, we did not accept our vials, our 200 doses for this week. So we're hoping, we'll just see what happens at the end of this week. They did take off the 80% burn rate, and they did take off being penalized if you had to waste doses. But we're still trying to get 10 people to come in so we can open up a vial.
so is there a number that you try to stock on hand just for the purpose of if interest builds, or?
Well, right now I still have, I believe 60 doses in our fridge from last week.
Plus our vendors have some,
Yep.
okay,
And they're struggling too.
yeah,
And I'm not sure how Hy-Vee is doing, since they do not take our allotment anymore. It's just Miller's and the clinic that we're sharing with right now.
okay. Does Hy-Vee have their own source, or they're not doing it?
Yes, they're in the federal pharmacy allocation. so they get them, elsewhere.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
Not that I can think of, unless you guys think of anything.
No, the only thing I can think of is our monthly re-up on our COVID policy.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, it's still out there. I know that, we have a meeting today again at noon, and, they'll go over some stuff with us, and I'm always after this meeting, so if I have anything new, I'll let you guys know.
All right. But we need to, for our employee policies, we need to reaffirm that for another month possibly. Is that what you guys want to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Yep.
I would make a motion to extend our county policies for reflecting on our employee policy manual for one more month.
I'll second that.
Motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve extending the county employee COVID policy changes for another month. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, discussion with possible action awarding bid for refunding public safety center bonds.
Stuck on something.
What was the term on that one? How many years?
14. Oh, that's payments.
Payments, yeah.
Carla, do you have any comments on this?
TSB has the lowest bid. I looked at Northland Securities and DA Davidson and Spear yesterday. Spear seemed to have a bid that was less money than that, especially if we don't do the call. But with this, the money's local and there's no fees, and
Both of those institutions do a lot of charitable things for
the communities.
the communities.
So between the two, one was 1.6 and one was 1.54.
5%. 0.03%.
Mhm.
The totals were, at the end, were just about the same though, weren't they?
Did we ask them for a payment structure, what we were paying before, or how we?
Yes, I asked him, I wanted to make the same payments so that we could pay the loan off sooner.
And it says both of them can, right? Did I read that correctly?
Can be paid off.
Prepay without penalty
Yeah.
on the MBT one.
The only difference I can see is one is showing just annual payments, and one is showing semi.
Can I see them once more?
Yeah, it's almost like it's the difference.
Is this something that needs action?
Yeah, well,
If we have any questions for the different institutions?
We could call him if you need to ask a question.
Is the annual or the semi-annual an issue?
No.
but
The main
it
issue is
does-
the grand total when you're done with the whole thing. One is, what would it be, 33,000 cheaper than the other one for the bottom line. Am I reading that right?
I would have to look at it again.
Well, the way I look at it is you're paying twice a year, you're tying up money the first half of the year and not getting interest on it.
In our
So that's
first
why
half
it's
is,
the semi-annual of,
Because the,
So your total interest paid on this one is $427.94.38. And your total interest paid on this one is $387.897.
what I was looking at is the payment amounts. I would assume that those two numbers are.
Yeah, that's the total payment amount with
Total
principal.
payment amount.
Yep.
One is 33,000 cheaper than the other one over the period. If I did my math right.
Look at it.
I need to slide my table closer again
yes, far away though.
without spilling the coffee.
You're taking the social distancing to an extreme.
Social distancing wasn't new to me anyway. Most people don't like being around me anyhow, so.
6 feet wasn't a problem.
What's that?
6 feet wasn't a problem.
No, there was people that would, even a little,
I think the term is 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
I went after
So it depends on if you're paying more or collecting more. On your interest. Probably better off paying it semi-annually might be
You
better.
reached out to everybody, right?
Yes,
Some just didn't give a bid.
right.
Well, do you think in the best interest of the county, we're better off paying it twice a year to, depends if we're going to collect more money than we are now on what we're investing.
It's a separate levy just for that debt, so there's not a problem paying it.
No, but I'm just trying to think, the money's invested, we're not paying, but we're paying interest throughout the whole year then, and on what would it paid. So there is a difference between total interest paid over the period of it. This one was 420, and this one was
I'm happy that they're both interested in it. I'm glad you reached out to them. I think that makes good sense.
I wouldn't even, I mean, it'd be more complicated that way, but I mean, I wouldn't even.
You know, the other thing that nobody brought up during the thing is when we have a loan at a US or a UMB bank or with Bankers Trust out of Des Moines, we pay fees every time we make a payment. So somewhere between $2,500 and $500 extra every time we make a payment. So with this, we don't have to pay those fees either, which saves us quite a bit of money.
No, yeah. I mean, what I was gonna say is I wouldn't even have a problem. It would complicate it, but even if they were to, you know, take it 50/50, because they're close enough. I mean, both institutions do a lot for the area, but,
I don't know how we would,
yeah,
I
it's,
think we need to go with a low bid.
no,
And-
that's the choice, but I'm just saying it wouldn't bother me that much if they were to split it, but the low bid's a little bit, that's the way it works.
Well, make a motion on it.
So, I'll make it was TSB that was
TSB at
low.
this lower
Yeah,
percentage.
Well, I'll make a motion to award the bid for refunding the Public Safety Center to TSB.
I'll second that.
That interest rate was
1.547.
1.547. Got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the refunding bid of TSB at 1.547% for our Public Safety Center bonds. Any further discussion?
I'd like to read what they just said, if that's all right. I think this is good. TSB Bank is pleased to commit to the refinancing of the Winnebago County Jail project. I think that's great. Keep it local.
Both letters showed great interest.
They
in it.
did, absolutely.
I appreciate that. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Anything, we have to stamp this, or it just paperwork to follow at the public hearing?
Yeah, paperwork to follow at the public hearing.
Okay, so when would we set the public hearing?
May 18th?
9:05?
Let me just make sure there's nothing else on. Nine to 5 works.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for the refunding of the Public Safety Center bonds for May 18th at 9:05.
I'll second that.
On a motion from Derby and a second from Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Consider for approval pilot
Oops.
waiver.
We have to do 4A, don't we?
No, we just did.
That was for,
That was 4A?
Yeah.
So that whole motion was for that?
yeah,
Okay.
set the public hearing.
Okay.
Consider for approval pilot waiver request. Pilot is the payment in lieu of taxes for government lands, government-owned lands.
Okay.
So like when you get out to Utah or some of those states that are 80% publicly owned, whether it's the federal government or whatever, there's a lot of areas that don't pay taxes out there. So there's government programs that subsidize that.
Thousands of acres out there.
Hundreds of thousands. I think.
Yeah.
And we have pilot waiver
Over
here?
by the
have
Rice Lake and Fish and Wildlife, like across the road from that project we looked at last week, that was part of it.
Yeah, we have them in Center, Logan, Eden, and Norway. Is where
Or what about that one in Mount Valley?
there's a little bit over in Mount Valley, yes.
Yeah, that's the one we looked at last week, I didn't realize they had that. Seemed to be
And they
had.
don't pay any taxes.
No.
At all.
But we apply for pilot monies to replace the tax.
And it's not all, it's just
Yeah.
little bits. It's not, it's like 7,000 or maybe not even quite
A
7.
lump sum.
Maybe more like $4,000 or $5,000.
Oh,
So it affects the people out west a lot more because they weren't gonna get anything off of it anyways.
so anytime they buy anything in the county that basically goes off of our tax record,
And it doesn't, like what the county owns doesn't qualify, it's gotta be federal. Or state.
is that when
They
like the Heritage Foundation buys land? Is that
They're,
Heritage?
they're just tying it up for the other entities to lock it in, transition.
Can you sign this, please? And then the next page. Thank you.
Like a stamp.
So states that have large amounts of that, then they apply for additional,
Yeah, I don't know what the other states do.
Well, they apply for what they can get.
Whatever you can,
They're the heaviest lobbyists to keep it going. Because it's up every budget year, they try to slash it. So if it went away, it wouldn't affect us as much as it would affect them. So this one is the North Iowa Regional Housing Authority that's asking for waivers. Traditionally done this every year. What's the wishes of the board? You okay with this?
We always have been, I guess.
what's the waiver part of it?
They don't have
I'm
to pay
still
it.
wrapping my head around it here.
Because it's U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, they are requesting this because they qualify, right,
they qualify for it and then,
as a federal program.
Okay.
But it must be a gray area that they have to apply rather than Fish and Wildlife that don't.
Yeah,
It's just-
Because, yeah, they don't have to, and evidently we could deny this if we wanted.
No, not really, because
Not
if you
really?
deny it, then you don't get any money.
This is just a percentage.
yeah, and I think there was a couple years that we didn't get anything.
Depends on what's available.
Yeah,
So what do you typically amount to? Do you have that figure in your head at all? No.
I can go down and pull some from like last. So I was gonna say maybe like around 3 or 4, 5,000, something like
You're
that,
talking about everything?
yeah. And of course, Fish and Wildlife, we get what we get there, they don't always wanna pay. And they don't have to for drainage or tax or
Nope.
anything.
We've been down that rat hole before.
Yeah, because I'll come down and we have to abate a lot of the drainage, which is tough because then it goes on the landowners.
Yeah, it's not right.
No.
To me, if you're gonna own property, you should be responsible for at least that part of the property.
Mhm.
Well, I think in the best interest of the county to try and get as much as we can. 10 out of it, we're probably better off. Oh. Allowing the waiver. Hopefully collect some on the pilot program.
I'll make a motion to approve the pilot waiver request.
I'll second the motion. On a motion from Jensvold and a second from Derby to approve the pilot waiver request for the North Iowa Regional Housing Authority. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. So, stamp that.
And Carla, can I get a copy of the letter and waiver? Thank you.
Well, that felt good. It's been a while.
Sorry,
I'm having trouble with my wrist too. 3 out of my 4 sisters have had carpal tunnel surgery. It's been, I'm into that.
discussion regarding temporary redistricting commission.
So we need to appoint, you need to decide how big you want your redistricting commission, and then we need to appoint people accordingly to that. You can do 3, 5, 7. So what happens is, since you're all Republican, right? You need to pick 2 people to serve on the redistricting committee, and then the Democratic chairperson will pick up another person to serve on the redistricting committee. So I didn't put it on there for you to pick someone today, but
So you're saying we pick 2?
well, if you want 3 people on the
Okay, yeah, there
redistricting
was 3,
commission,
yeah. We had 3 last time,
yeah, I think so. So,
because I was on it last year.
Is there any big change in the demographics according to the census that there needs to be any change? Or?
well, we haven't got that yet.
I was gonna say,
So
I
we
don't
don't
remember
know.
that information coming out yet, but it may have, and I just
Have you
didn't
heard
see
any population change?
I don't know.
I know Iowa did okay in the congressional districts, so.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Gain, but
They
we
haven't
didn't
given us
lose.
any information yet. I just know we have to have this redistricting committee put together by May 15th. And so I need you to start thinking of a couple people so that we can get that appointed.
We can appoint one of us. if
The
we choose.
Secretary of State said you can put a supervisor on the board, but we highly recommend against it.
Oh, okay.
What, they don't like my conflict of interest?
I don't think so.
See, last time when I was on the board, it was tricky in Fort City because Bill comes in from the west and,
Yeah.
well, it was Willie at the time, but,
Yeah.
and then your district comes in from the east and we just have to adjust some of those lines and still make it good for the Fort City quadrants. It doesn't affect the rest of the county necessarily.
You know, it always seemed a little odd to me that Fort City is, part of it is under control of someone from Lake Mills and, or, you
It's
know,
a high
that
percentage
area.
of population.
But it's it's in order to get the population the same, I assume that's why it was done that way.
Yep.
So, okay. So for today, we just gotta start thinking of the 3 people we'd like, or 2 people we would put on there, and then the
Then I will contact the Democratic chairperson.
okay. And
So can we bring you that information
next week,
next week on Tuesday, or do you need it before
just
then?
discuss it again Tuesday.
Just
Well,
put it on an
So I
agenda?
just need a resolution with all 3 names by May 15th.
So we should probably discuss it next week.
So each one of us picks one.
No,
No,
you,
we picked
3 of you pick 2 people.
Oh, the 3 of us picked,
2,
oh,
and the Democratic chair picks one.
all right.
If we go with 3, we could go with 5.
So come next week with names, and then we'll discuss, put it on the agenda with action for next week. Is that all right?
Yep.
I don't know, there's 3 people in the room right now, let's just choose them, huh?
There you
There
go.
you go, guys.
believe Carla will be more than expressive as to my opinion on the subject.
I was wondering what would happen there.
See, he sat here before when we pointed him to something.
I've seen him in here a lot.
It got hilarious because Willie, previous to this, it was Terry and your predecessor who nominated me for some oddball committee somewhere.
Oops.
Well,
And Willie immediately spoke up and said, I think we're gonna reevaluate that. After I looked up at him like, that ain't happening.
That'll teach you to show up to a meeting.
it was
Take the gavel and tap, okay, we're gonna change that
It was
idea.
probably Willie was trying to get out of mental health.
Yeah,
More
yeah,
than likely, yeah, I think that was what it was.
I can understand his pain on that one.
All right, so
I
we'll,
know Brian doesn't have enough to do, so he's firm.
Yeah, I'm free from 2 to 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't think it took a ton of time. It was just, I think, there were 2 different days we met on it. And went
Yeah,
through
it
things.
takes the auditor's office a ton of time.
Yeah. But I mean, the meeting part of it, I think
The
we
meeting
met 2
one.
different days.
Yeah,
and kinda
I
went through.
basically bring you like a couple of options and say pick, and then,
But in order to do that, you have to have the census information. don't
yeah,
you?
it won't be for a while before
Yeah,
we get to
all right. I was gonna
the,
say, this has gotta be down the.
this is the preliminary piece.
All right.
It won't be during spring planting.
That's over for the most part, practically.
Well, replanting still. It could happen
Yeah.
after
Can
the
you tell
frost.
me who seconded number 5? I didn't write it down.
I seconded number 5.
Thank you.
Okay, so next week we'll discuss it and bring our names in and then do you think we should just go with the 3 then, or should we go with a 5 member? If we did 5, then
Let's just go 3. It's so much easier.
gotta have discussion here.
I agree.
You get
I
too
think
many
3
people,
I
it's like
think
herding
3
cats.
is enough.
Yes.
I was just curious how it would break down,
It's
who
as easy as
selects
just
what.
grab by the tail.
Then, so if you get 5, then the supervisors have pick 3 and the Democratic chair picks 2.
Okay, all right. I think we'll go with 3.
Thank you.
Just had to ask.
If you go with 7, you'll get absolutely nothing done.
I'm here to educate myself. All right. So next week we'll bring those names forward. Consider for approval of fireworks permit for Three Fingers Campground. I can't remember, is that on,
It's really close, there,
yeah, that's, is
Cause
the north side there, is that my district?
you've got the north side, don't you?
Yeah, but
I've got
then,
the south side.
but Willie's brother was on the north side, and
Yeah, it's and Wayne Eastbold's also on the north side, and yet
have to bring it
his
up on
polling
the
place had
map.
me on the ballot, so.
Isn't it you, Bill?
You look like that's the area, there's one section that's not
Half in and
not
half out.
in mine.
I don't have a supervisor's map in here.
Yeah, it's not.
Um,
Go
it
ahead,
seems
go
like
ahead,
we
I'll
made the
second it.
motion. Yeah, all right, I'll make the motion to approve the fireworks permit for Three Fingers Campground.
I'll second it.
These I went to school.
All right. I camped down there, how's that?
Oh, you're way ahead of me then. All right, so maybe we should resend that and reverse it.
And the sheriff's not here to tell us whether or not we've had problems there.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. It's a rough place.
All right, so we've got a motion from Jensvold and a second from Derby to approve the fireworks permit for Three Fingers Campground. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. You ready to come up and see us? All right, but
He was out in the hallway wandering around earlier.
well, he answered his office phone, so. Did this have to be stamped too? Or not? I guess if it's, yeah, it says it for his
I put
office.
the date on it. That's all right.
Sometimes they do the Memorial Day one too. Must not be doing it this year. I suppose Memorial Day fireworks aren't permitted. You can do it by special permit though.
Yeah, I don't know. I know you can around the 4th of July, but you can get a permit anytime.
It starts in June.
Does it start in June?
It's like a month long.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
and the thing is, what kills me is the code reads, to be shot by a competent person.
But like this,
You know, that
Competent.
but like
Competent person.
a lot of the applications we get are by professionals.
Oh, professional,
They're
right.
the class, what I used to call the Class B. They're
Right.
now a different category.
But there are a few of the permits where I know we've actually asked Dave,
I know,
you
here now.
what do you think of this one?
I would have never done that when I was younger.
Feels like a bunch of hot breathers in here.
All right. Scott Minders, engineer, will discuss secondary road matters.
Morning.
Morning.
Our guys are finishing up spot loads this week and gonna switch to what we call the rock and gravel run. We'll have that map kind of finalized and put together here later in the week, and they'll jump right into that maybe yet this week. Sounds like they got everything for the auction cataloged last week and finished up today, and that stuff should be online shortly for online bidding. So our guys kind of got done organizing the yard and stuff like that, or at least got it in pretty good shape. So they're going to try to jump back and get some more work orders and things like that down here. It's been those guys kind of working on the auction items. So got tile crossing and some other odds and ends and to work on here. And other than that, Michael's is working on Alliance project there, north and mostly east of Leland. That's going okay. That's all I have notes on this week, other than what's on the agenda. Do you have any questions or talk through anything?
So when you have with Alliant that performance bond, that one that I asked you to send to me, if they don't leave it in the condition that you consider acceptable, what do you do?
I haven't actually gone through that process before, but I would anticipate it'd be something like kind of a demand letter to the contractor and a certain window of opportunity to fix it. I would assume that would get their attention and we'd meet on site and kind of go over it all and give them a certain time frame. And if they say, okay, we disagree with you, we're not doing it, then you would send a letter to their bonding company and request to work with them on the repairs.
Okay.
It's really kind of a back pocket thing, not something that will help you just get something done today, you know what I mean?
Yep. Just some insurance.
Yeah, basically.
So what you used to have with $1,000
Deposit.
they gave you a check
Mm-hmm.
that you held,
Mm-hmm.
and it was worth $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm glad that you did the performance bond on these things,
Yeah.
because sometimes you just never know.
Yeah. The $1,000 deposit is probably a little old fashioned and dates back to many years ago. To my knowledge, we didn't ever cash those checks, and most of them probably were canceled before the work was done. If I were to guess, most companies don't just leave checks open. If they haven't been cashed, they'll cancel them. So otherwise, we would send them back or shred them when the project was done. Or some companies would just leave a check with us as they got several permits and, opened several before they closed them and just always had them open.
So when you chose the number 10,000, was that just something off
I
the
did
top
a little
of your
research,
head, or-
I did a little research with the DOT's utility permit and policy, and thought that was a safe number for the type of damage that we've seen in the past.
Which could include just
Could
road and gravel and.
say the most likely scenario is we get a bunch of rain, they don't pay attention to it, they run several trucks on a road and just trash it, and they leave it ruts, a foot deep, and we gotta go through and put it in oversized and top it with roadstone. And we've done that for a couple miles of crane damage, and one time the bill was 16,000. That was particularly bad situation.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be able to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Did you get reimbursed for that?
That one we did. There have been others we haven't. It's very tricky because in those cases we don't have the leverage we would have with a performance bond.
That big one, was that on 140th out there?
That's one of them I don't think we collected on.
Oh,
The one I'm thinking of is on 70th, south of 842 by the substation there, or maybe it was 60th, somewhere around
Oh,
that
I
section.
remember that one, yeah.
Yeah,
That was really tore up.
yeah. So, in those cases, they don't really need to get permits from us. Sometimes the oversized permits, but most of their trucks for hauling the crane in is the mast and other parts that aren't oversized or overweight. So, let's say there's 30 trucks and they permit 4 of them. By the time we get the permits, the other 26 are running around out there moving cranes around. And unless we get a report on it, pretty tough to keep tabs on. And only matters when it's rainy and sloppy. This year, haven't had any real concerns about that kind of thing. On that subject, though, we did close out the road use agreement for the repower project out by Buffalo Center. The roads look good, and they touched them up and spread a lot of rock out there, and we did close that out this last week.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that was, there was one that had, I can't remember what it was. It's the 50th? Where they had, seems I remember a couple of bad spots on the one. But
40th had their laydown yard. They all had bad spots on them. It was worse than
Okay.
anywhere else in the county, in my opinion. And they did a good job, and Ethan went over all the routes with them and everything and gave them the sign off, so.
so they've gotten all their blades off of there then? They hauled all the blades off?
I'm not sure about that.
I've seen some still going out.
I'm not sure about that. I've seen the cranes going out.
Well, I would assume they got most everything out of there because they've been hauling all the rock out of there.
Yeah, that was my assumption too. I guess I
Well, I'm
didn't
guessing
put
there's
my
not
eyes
a
on
lot of weight in those loads with the blades.
No, I wouldn't think that would be overly.
I mean, the agreement's for the length of the project and the blades to be part of the project going out, so I guess I maybe shouldn't have assumed that, but I assumed when they wanted to sign off on the roads, that meant they had everything out of there.
I just saw one going out the other day heading to Missouri's.
Okay,
Takes a lot of truck trips.
Yeah.
Missouri.
back to your original question, I think the best thing we can do is just to have everybody aware of the project and have eyes on it all the time, and when we see something, we address it immediately. And I think we're doing that. Eric's kind of notifying Ethan and the route guy, whoever blades the territory, when permits are issued, so that they can kind of be familiar with it in case they see something funny. And then we're all, on the same team saying, hey, whichever one of us sees something, we're all going to address it and make sure it's taken care of. So we'll see how that works.
Anything else for roads? When's the auction go online?
Well, Ethan told me today that the stuff they did Friday catalog, he thought would be on today. It isn't when I checked right before I come up here, so maybe she wanted to finish it before she uploaded it. So she was finishing it today, so maybe by the end of the day. And then we'll, I don't know, try to push it out, or we'll share it on our Facebook page and do our part for the marketing, but said most likely won't see much for action until the last day.
Yeah.
You know, during the live auction too. So.
Now, do those have the, how'd you set it up? Do they have them where it bumps the time out on the online bidding if there's another bid right at the last?
They have a soft close. I think they do that for all their auction, but it has to have so much time between bids in order to close. So you can't just sneak in the last second and throw in your bid and win it. You know, it's just like at an auction where he'll look around the room and try to get one more bid all the time. He's not going to just close it just to hurry up. They're going to get the highest bid and not, you know, slight anybody for being too slow. So that's a good thing, I think. Plus, they got to keep up with the pace of the live auction
If
too
you're
and
the
go
seller,
back and
if
forth.
you're the buyer, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, sure is.
You gotta put in the time.
I'll sit in the parking lot thinking, you know, because I can't drive while I'm bidding. I'll sit in the parking lot,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden another bid comes in with a second to go, and then it's a whole nother
Yeah.
set of
Here, I think it's
bids.
like maybe 3 or 4 minutes or something like that. He was telling me. So, all that's
All right, anything
Okay,
else for roads?
Isn't everything?
Consider for approval, permanent easement purchase agreement for bridge replacement project in Forest Township, section 14.
If you're familiar with where the Branstead Hoop Building is, and that's what we call it, just on the southwest side of Leland,
Still farm.
there's a small bridge there, and we are planning to replace that this summer now. And after the bridge, the creek takes a hard bend and runs right down the road ditch, and so there's a pretty good straight drop off for about 300 feet. So with this project, we wanted to move the creek away from the road, so there's a kind of recoverable area where a vehicle could feasibly fall off the road and then drive back on. And to do that, we needed a little more right-of-way, and so we've been working with John and Mary Forsland, who own that property. We've offered to pay them fair market value for this permanent easement, and they have agreed. So I have the purchase agreement here with me today that will take signatures from Terry and Carla if you approve it, and we'll get it recorded and returned to them and get the materials for the bridge replacement project ordered and get it scheduled for this fall.
So you're thinking fall on the
Yeah, I
bills
mean,
on it?
I didn't know how it was gonna go, so I had originally said this coming spring, but at this point, this was the only thing holding us up. All the other landowners we've consulted with, and they're okay with it, so we're thinking this fall.
That's a pretty busy road.
Yes.
So
Usually-
I'm thinking farm to market. I mean, it's in the fall.
Yeah. Usually, we can try and get started 2 weeks after the 4th of July with bridge replacement projects, and we only have 2 this year. So, if things go well and we can get things organized, I think there's a good chance we can have everything, those 2 bridges replaced by maybe middle of September.
When do they,
I didn't get that date from Ethan, so we better keep it a little loose, but.
Well, if it stays weather like this, it probably won't be a problem.
you know, you can get things done quicker, but, also during the fall, if they're hauling manure out of there, it'd be a rather inconvenient time to,
We'll certainly be talking with Branstead when we get going on that project, and we already have been, and they have, the arrangements changed out there, they actually have cattle in the building right now. So,
oh, they do,
yeah, so I think it changes a lot, and
all right.
if they're not hauling in and out of there chicken litter, then that changes things too. There is another way in and out, it's just an extra little bit of gravel.
Yeah.
So it's never ideal, but it always ends up to be construction in the fall because we can't get everything done in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Tile crossings are the same way. And
I've been around that place when they were hauling manure in and out of there, and, and it's really busy.
Yes.
More than your average farming operation.
Much
Yeah.
more. Yeah. We're aware of that as well because they're hard on the roads, and that road
Oh, yeah.
south of there is really kind of like creek bottom, so it doesn't hold up well.
I'll make a motion to approve the permanent easement purchase agreement for bridge replacement project, Forest Township, section 14.
I'll second that.
You said you farmed the ground around it, I'll let you say.
Well, that might be conflict too.
That's
There
fine.
you go.
Leave it up to you whether you feel like it is or not.
No, I think it'll be just fine.
Which ground do you farm?
All
Around
of
there.
those.
What's that?
She'll lose some land.
Oh, you got Forsland's ground.
Mhm. Thanks for that.
Well, the part we're buying is currently in CRP, so.
I know where it is.
We'll
Yeah.
CRP move then.
And putting the dredge ditches in the road ditch never was a
They
very
just
good
never
idea.
said
No,
if
there's just too much of it.
suggested.
In this case, it's not deep, so
Well,
we're,
like the one you guys just fixed out there, it just creates pots, you know, somebody could have lost a truck into that.
yeah, I mean, that's true of any of those.
Okay, so we've got a motion from Derby and a second from Smith to approve the permanent easement purchase agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.
Shouldn't affect your operation at all there, wouldn't for me.
No,
You guys access through over that little crossing.
the DNR.
We're ready for you. Right, thanks.
Please do approve, please.
Approved?
Yeah. But you gotta fill out that form. That's-
Do I got one more thing? No, that's
That is it.
the salaries thing,
Yeah.
the other thing I gave you.
Yep.
What do you got for us?
I did speak with Mark Egasol yesterday. He came in and I was showing him the pictures of the original map and pictures that you guys had taken out there. And I think what he's talking about and what's out there might be two separate locations. So what he did was he signed a petition to fix lateral 19. Because lateral 19 should go up to his property line. And that's the one that, and he says if that works, then he doesn't even need that other ditch, that private ditch. So,
Oh, is he saying that the culverts we saw are not 19?
we don't know.
That has
So,
to be
what I'd
investigated.
like to suggest is to get a contractor out there to look
Verify.
at lat 19. And I know Chad Nordskog has done work out there before for, when he worked at Hollins on that area, so I believe he knows the area, plus he lives out that direction, so,
Across the section.
yeah. So I'm wondering if we can just ask him if he'd like to go out there and
So
do some
since
looking.
the scope of work has kind of changed, do we need to redo the contract with the engineer then?
I have at this point told him to not do anything further
Okay.
until he hears from us. I believe if there's something we need to do with lat 19, if it is the one that's been cut, we may need him again and we can change the scope of work then.
Okay.
But for now, I
Hold
think
it
we're
for
just,
now and-
yep,
Okay.
we just look at lat 19 itself, not do
So
anything
we're
with
just in
it.
the fact finding.
We are, yep, we just need to know where is lat 19, where does it go, does it work? And that lateral will pay for any of this cost.
Right.
And the original engineering costs.
That will be up to you guys. If we don't bring it into the district, do we put it with 5 lat 19 costs? Do we charge it to District 5?
I think that kind of depends on what transpires in the end.
What we find out.
What we
Yeah.
find out about lat 19.
In the end, it'll probably take care of itself.
Because the whole process started the discovery of what possibly happened out there.
Right,
Yeah.
so we can determine that later, but I'm not sure right now. Does that work for you guys.
I just want to say, I think it's great that we're figuring it out, you know, for futures. It
Yeah,
just needs to be correct.
and it needs to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if it hasn't worked in decades, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad that it wasn't addressed a long time ago.
Yeah. And then in talking with Rick and Derek at Jacobson, they are shocked that if that's lat 19, that their LiDAR was that far off.
Yeah.
They've never seen it that far off.
Cause
So,
I looked at
it-
contours, and I don't know where the LiDAR came up with their information, cause the contours don't even come
right,
close to
and
that.
so they've never seen it this far off. And I said, I'm not questioning their ability to do any work. This is a fluke, I believe.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see where it is and go from there.
It's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Right?
Anything else for drainage?
So who orders that? Who asks?
I can call, well, because I have a petition from Mark to explore lat 19 to see if it's working, I can just call a
talk to
contractor.
Nostog and
Mhm.
explain the situation and go do some exploring.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if he has to start at the ditch to find where lat 19 starts and follow it,
Might have to get permission from the road right away to see if it's working
working right
at the
there.
road.
Well, right, but it starts at the open ditch,
Right.
south
but
of that
it's-
other
It's
east
dry
west
there.
road.
So
Yeah,
my
so I don't
question-
know if we should start at the open ditch and just go north.
Yeah.
And then go under the road and then it crosses the road again.
Might be beneficial to have a intake in one side of the road
Oh,
or
sure.
the other, so we know.
For futures.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How
But
quickly do you think that can happen to?
it depends on the load work of the contractor,
Yeah.
because they don't work for us, so.
Well, they'll have to go into the, that
Fish and wildlife.
fish and wildlife area then
Yeah.
as well.
We don't know if the tall grass in there is plugging it too.
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
where it's
that's
nice
real.
to start at the road,
Hopefully
see
it
if
was
it's
alignment.
Mhm.
anything coming into it. If there's nothing coming into the road, then
Right.
that
So,
narrows it down.
definitely.
Good.
So if that's okay with you, I will get on that.
That makes the most sense.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
I don't.
No one?
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Consider for approval appointments and pay adjustments for fiscal year 2022.
And those all need to be stamped approved, please. Enjoy our liberty and discussions
I would
today.
flow awesome right at the beginning.
So, always enjoy seeing the process. He's got nominated for something too.
You know, you gotta be careful what you want.
See, usually on the fire department, the guy that doesn't show up to the meeting, he's nominated.
Yeah, it's the opposite here.
Yeah.
You gotta be there to defend yourself.
Oops. That's why I'm the chief. I didn't show up one meeting.
at
Yeah, and then I come in a little low on that one.
Just pop it back.
Yeah. That's how these are always done, huh? I didn't know how that worked. So, some of these require all of our,
These are all approved, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they're just
okay,
Approved.
And just signed by you, right, on the approved stamp?
Some of them have
Oh,
lines.
yeah.
This one has all of us.
As soon as I'm not chair, then all of a sudden Terry thinks we need to get stampers so we don't have to write and get our hands done when we're doing all that writing.
Just call me out, why don't you?
Yeah,
Work smarter, not harder.
yeah. Ooh, that makes it look bad for me.
Thanks for bringing
I
that
should have kept that quiet.
There
Well, the good news is I like to work harder.
Was there?
No. No. But I'm gonna need those.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just put them in the pile.
okay.
You're gonna have to sort, Carla.
So we gotta sign this one in 3 places too?
Yep.
Mackenzie's still on.
I thought she was gone.
Yeah, she's gone. She's on the list.
Oh, yeah. They just haven't taken her off the list. It must be just a,
I don't know when she quit, but maybe
She's
it
been
was,
gone
she
since
turned.
the first of
boy, it's good.
March or 1st of April, one of
I was
those.
gonna say, it's over a month ago.
I'm not sure when she turned it in. It could have been a while ago.
Yeah.
Most people make these about budget time, so if she was here in January or March.
Oh, there it goes. That one had 3 pages, so it didn't float as nice as the rest of them. Too much weight. Can't have heavy paper airplanes.
This position has not been filled.
No, it has been. A year ago.
Yeah.
Must not update the name on it.
Now,
Nicole,
Mackenzie Minders is scratched out on this.
Nicole's name.
Mackenzie is scratched out on this one, and there's Autumn. So evidently, that other one must be.
What's different about that versus this?
Autumn replaced Mackenzie. Mackenzie, left us last month.
Yeah.
We've got 2 sheets with the list, so they're identical other than that, aren't they?
Well, this is a copy and this is original.
Or is the original one also scratched out?
No,
No,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
okay. So we'll almost have to go with that. You can figure that out.
Yeah, just sign them and we'll figure it out.
Keep it moving.
Oh,
I did it. I'm
boy,
sorry.
you were just like
Okay.
Daryl Dawkins
So
slapping
sorry.
one away from the rim there.
It's nice that you pass them on because
What's
then
wrong
it
with
keeps
chocolate
everybody
thunder now?
busy.
Come on.
Huh?
What's wrong with Chocolate Thunder? He missed more slam dunks than anybody in the history of the
Yeah, but
NBA.
when he blocked a shot, he blocked a
Boy,
shot.
he blocked a shot, there's no doubt.
Yeah, it was hard.
I remember him blocking Josie Merriweather of the Kings and knocking the silly thing all the way down to the other end of the court.
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
same game where he smashed the glass backboard.
Oh, there.
Phil Ford got glass in his eyes. I was there. I was like 5 rows
Oh,
back
no
from
kidding.
behind the bench. Oh yeah, it was a scene.
I've seen replays of it.
Oh, it's great.
You're gonna have to stamp something for me.
All right, I'm warmed up now, let me tell you. I've got the meetings that I called in, I had to let a rookie handle the stamp. I tell you. That was making me nervous. Listening to her run it, and I'm like, man, she's not hitting quite right.
Doesn't have the angle, right? Yeah.
Get them up there. Can I see that paper?
The only reason is because I think we have Cindy's salary on that instead of Autumn's.
Well,
One she scratched out on, and then Autumn is written in.
Yeah, and I think it's got Mackenzie's salary instead of what Autumn should have.
Oh.
Yeah.
That part didn't get changed.
Yeah. It's this one. So this is the correct one.
so discard
Yep.
take that in there.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Come again.
I'll entertain a motion. Number 11.
I'll make a motion to approve appointments and pay adjustments for fiscal year 2022.
I'll second that.
On a motion from Jensvold and a second from Smith to approve the appointments and pay adjustments for fiscal year 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Discussion with possible action regarding IT department. You're gonna be here for this, or?
I doubt it.
Oh, okay.
Well, we had our IT committee meeting yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, I'm assuming you guys ran on the email too, that he was gonna pursue other endeavors, so we're to the point of deciding whether we wanna have a IT guy or whether we let NGT, they already do the public safety center. And I've been thinking for a while that it would only make sense to either have Eric take that over or have NGT, being there's a new sheriff in town, because the reason we went with NGT out there in the first place is because there were some disagreements on what will be done at the public safety center. And so Dave wanted to take a different route on who did their IT out there. And Brian made a proposal a few years ago about doing the whole county when we were discussing this, and a few things have changed over the years, but so rather, we have to decide whether we're gonna pursue having a full-time guy here and a county employee, or whether we can look at our options. NGT is gonna make some kind of a proposal today, I would guess, as far as
Can, yeah.
answer any questions about concerns that people have that they thought they had in the past when NGT did this years ago. And I know Hancock County, all the reports except for one that I've heard out of there, NGT takes care of everything for them, and they're very happy with it. And so that's where we're at. We have to decide which direction we're going to go.
What was the feedback from the committee then?
The committee was, Carla and I did not vote, but there was 100% in favor of having somebody in-house. back when we were making the decision, or before, they had said they would do, the whole county for, it was gonna be a $40,000 to $50,000 a year savings to have NGT do it over what we're paying already to NGT out there and Eric's complete, that salary and benefit package. So I guess we have to make the decision in, which I guess I'll let you go ahead and explain what you think you can do as far as making sure that everything is taken care of.
Sure. Yeah.
The instant gratification world that we're in nowadays.
Yes, indeed. So NGT, since we've last engaged with some things, which has been 10 years or more, yeah, it's been a while. So NGT, we have about 50 employees now, definitely grown substantially. We used to be a single tiered structure where it was just kind of the whole group just tried to get everything done. And now, in the last couple of years, we had moved to a two-tiered structure. COVID exposed a lot of things for everybody and everything. Everything has to happen now. I mean, there is no waiting for IT issues. I mean, you can't have this meeting without IT anymore. I mean, so we've now structured, we're a 4-tiered system, doing a lot of feedback type systems so that we know where things are at. The big advantage is when you need 5 people, you have 5 people, and when you need a person, you have a person. And when somebody leaves or goes on vacation, it's still there, it's still covered. So, that's been our mantra for what NGT does. So, we've had in the last few months with some major changes we've made, even with COVID, have had some really good successes with our tiered structure. We're seeing our rates of response time in single digits for minutes in terms of people getting things fixed on the average stuff. Of course, when something blows up, it's blowing up no matter what. But most things are getting covered literally in minutes, and faster than sometimes walking around the building. The other thing that we do in a lot of places is we actually staff somebody in the building a lot of the times, so that they're there, especially critical moments. You have a supervisors meeting Tuesday morning, might need to make sure somebody's here, and whether they're working on stuff here or working whatever.
Is the example right here this morning.
Exactly.
Carla had to have him come and.
Yeah, and so you structure and you know when those critical things happen. The unknowns are the unknowns, and those are the outliers. It's the day-to-day. Let's make sure operations go when operations need to go. We say that our what we're doing is making sure people can do what they got to do when they need to do what they got to do. And that's a mouthful, but that's the big push that we have, and that's the big push for product. We have a lot of people with various skills, a lot of people that live in the area, we're providing a lot of things for Winnebago County. So that's my pitch in a second. I wasn't coming to do a hard sell as much as I just wanted to at least get a chance to talk. And ask questions.
And reassure that the needs that are needed to be taken care of. But
yes.
He already does the IT for CSS and also our newer regions. And so there's even more distance in the handling there. So,
this is easy. So I've got people here literally floating around the area. So, and again, the intention would be you put people where you're at. And what you do, the other thing that's changed substantially in the last 10 years is we do what's called account teams. So there is a technical advocate, a system administrator that has higher end tech skills, usually a technician with that tier 1 tech skills, help desk. But then there's also a client advocate. There's an account manager that their job is to just make sure that they understand what needs to be done and advocate for that. I don't know if you've noted, but certain tech people really get in the weeds, and sometimes you got to go, hey, that's cool, but we got to do this. And that's what that advocate's job is to do. It's to kind of help manage those things so that we don't end up in the weeds or they're managing that. If you have problems with a tech, you have problems with a system administrator, that's our problem. That's my problem to deal with. So I deal with the HR, I deal with the vacations, I deal with all that. The hiring and firing and the shuffling around. We've had technicians in the past that didn't perform. It's my problem to get it covered. My problem to make sure they're performing. You know what? That person is not a good fit. Let's have this person come in
And
instead.
then another aspect to it is that Eric has to be the jack of all trades, or whoever you have here. They have people that are specialized in different areas that can come in and maybe handle something.
Yep,
Some situations better, not saying that the Jack Moon,
just different, yep, so.
So you do have people that would help with, like, software problems?
Oh,
and things
absolutely,
like that.
very much so. In fact, that's, depending upon the stats you look at, that's about 25 to 30% of our general support is software issues, all the way down to, I can't get this thing to center in Word. I've been trying for 20 minutes. You know, we can't get this to load or whatever it is. So, but that's, basically we say if it's got a wire attached, it's our problem.
So since you already serve other county governments.
Yep.
Do you also interact with the statewide IT group?
Yep, at various levels, yep. And then I myself am also, I'm involved with the ISICS committee, with the Iowa Statewide Communications Board. I'm actually the Region 2 chair for that, so interact with that side of the house as well, which is where public safety is
also on that.
Yep, so, but, yeah, and then of course, have relationships with several of the IT people in the area as well, so Joel and Andy, and so, yeah, and, hope he's not on the call. Drew a blank on, anyways, Kasuth. But yeah, so we certainly interact with that and deal with that, and yeah, I mean, we'd be part of the IT committee. One of the other things that's been mentioned that's always a concern with whether it be county government or K-12, basically any public entity is, well, who's going to make sure we get good pricing and all that? I don't care to sell you anything. I don't need to sell product and hardware. In fact, I just as soon help get bids out there and vet bids and have actual vendors that are doing that do that. So that we're your people to make sure that the county's getting a good price too. So because that's, yeah, most of the time if and or when we do sell product, it's out of convenience for everybody or timing. It's not because that's what we just, if I never sold a piece of hardware again in my life, I'd be fine with it. It doesn't, there's really no money there. So, yeah.
Eric has kept track of like our computers in our offices, when they get to 5 years or whatever, they, you know.
Rotation plan.
Is that something that you guys are
We
keeping
would
track of?
We definitely help out with the strategic planning, the budgeting. What you're talking about is a rotation plan where machines need to be rotated every 5 years. So we would take the age of the machine and or the quality of the machine and definitely factor
The functions,
those things in.
Plus the auditor gets a new one every year.
And two different offices are having the same problem. You guys have in place to where you can have that communicated, so
Yep.
there
Yeah.
isn't.
It all comes into a ticketing system and those things start linking together. And in fact, in some respects, it's actually handy because we'll be on the phone with one person and all of a sudden phone will ring or a chat message comes in or a text message. So we actually can receive support through phone calls, chat, online forums, even a text message will go into the system and it will grab it and pull it together. So, but, and again, the whole idea is there's also an account manager available so that there's somebody that's seeing a little bit bigger picture that is available. You know, that's, okay, here's the deal. We've got 4 tickets in the last 20 minutes and they're all similar issues. Something else is happening. Let's see what's going on. So, and then that's
You're fixing the root cause rather than just putting a Band-Aid on it.
So, yeah, so
Or
that's
brace.
right. Or brace. By the way, this is Nick Hartman. So Nick's been with NGT how long?
7 years.
Wow. Okay. So where'd that time go? So, you know, but yeah, so that's
He
kind
was
of what
only
we
hurt his arm once, hitting his boss.
It's a high impact work environment, you know? So.
Have to work on his stroke too.
Yep.
Yeah, no, yeah, you gotta get that, yeah.
I think another question too was like IT purchases and agreements, like.
Yep.
Be able to cover our.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that's what an IT department does, is they manage and maintain those. But again, the idea would be is we're not selling stuff. We're the IT people in the room making sure that they get purchased and
We'd
bought.
be making sure that we vet the vendors, make sure you're getting the correct pricing. Obviously,
Make sure you're
pricing.
getting the, like you had a concern from years ago where, you actually gave her the advice on, whether the lesser one for lesser money, and
Right.
it turned out, we ended up getting that one, it turned out we needed the better one.
Yep.
And, those are just,
Yeah, we just make sure we do it right, and are we perfect? No.
yeah.
But, so, yeah. So, and the other advantage we have would be, and I mean, it exists here too, and Eric does a nice job making sure that he has some spares and things. We also, just because we deal with so much, we tend to have some things around in case something hits the fan and we need to start pulling some things together. So one of the things that we do, we actually have a cybersecurity task force. So I've actually got 4 people that they pretty much, their emphasis is on IT security and dealing with cybersecurity items. What's interesting about is information technology and information security is the two inherently feel like they're the same thing, but they're very different things. And in fact, they require a different hat. And so IT is about making sure you can do what you got to do when you need to do it. Information security is about making sure the stuff's secure. And sometimes they're actually butting heads with each other. And so having somebody purposely saying, yeah, that's really cool, but how'd you risk rate it? That's pretty risky. Do you really want to do it? Well, but she really wants to do
That's
that.
gonna open you up.
Yeah, she really wants to do that. Oh, okay, let's find that balancing. Or can we do it this way? Oh, now you can do everything you do, but it's also secure. So we segregate that way too, so that we're trying to you have the benefits of a larger IT department here. So
there you get two different groups looking at it from a different direction and
Right.
coming to a consensus on what's.
right. Yeah. The other thing we do is we tend to do these things as a flat rate. So basically, it's our pay to do that. What the advantage to that is that it puts me as the owner on the same side of the table as you guys in a lot of ways. In that if I can get my teams to do this efficiently, you're happy because it's done efficiently, and I'm happy because I'm not getting killed on labor. And so it's a win-win. If you're unhappy, it usually ends up meaning we need to get more people here more often, which ends up being more expensive, which means I didn't do a good job getting things running efficiently to begin with. So that to me actually puts, like I said, feels like I'm on the same side of the table as you, at least in that perspective. So, and especially if we're not selling you hardware, I'm going to advocate for the best hardware you can get for the money within the limits of what's reasonable, trying to get the best price. Right, yeah. Other questions?
Do you have a price for us today, or have you
I
not
did
put that
not,
together?
no, I had not put together, so I really wasn't quite sure exactly where you're at on that. I would say that it is certainly, would be reasonable to say it would not cost more than it would cost to have a full-time IT person here to manage all this. And depending upon how we structure it, I don't know why it couldn't be less on that, so. The key will be making sure that we have very clear expectations of everybody. And that's everything from, and I tell you what, if I was the guy in the office here, and I'm guessing Eric will chime in the same thing, IT people don't like emergencies any better than anybody else does. So if, oh, and by the way, we got an election tomorrow. What? Making sure we're planning and working through those things, so we're putting the right people in place. And I would love if we know we got a big deal happening, even a regular meeting like this. We know that this meeting happens. We know that things are getting kicked off at 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's make sure we got someone available to make sure things get kicked off right. And that's easier for everybody. Now, it's not an emergency for you. You know somebody's going to be here, and it's covered. And that's efficient for everybody. So.
And I've mentioned it in the past, I don't know what kind of a conflict of interest it is, but if we were to go with NGT or whoever, of course, we're in Winnebago County, should be the first choice. We've got an office that'll be available there, and actually that he could actually have someone possibly working out of that office.
I mean, the intention would be that as we have techs, because we're a very distributed workforce in terms of actual, a lot of them are in Buffalo Center and Lake Mills, but a lot of the days are just out and about doing their thing. Having a landing zone is helpful for them, but also having a landing zone means someone's here. So.
You know, I don't know how that would work, whether you just rent it to them or whatever. You know,
I don't know. We
It'd
need
probably
to
be more
look
of
at
a
the
workspace
legalities of all
when, yeah,
that,
more of a
but-
workspace when we're here and a staging area and those type of things.
or just have the office as part of the contract.
Correct. It'd just be, that's where we stage and that's where we do the work that needs to be done here. So,
I think one of the other things that came up was like handling the budget and doing claims,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Like how would that work?
so if you're paying us, our salary, if the budget is the budget, then we manage and maintain the budget, understanding that we're not approving anything out in that budget to ourselves. We are helping make sure we manage that. We actually manage the budget for several organizations that way. So we'd be your person dealing with that. So you know, and we'd have to justify that no differently than anybody else. So. You make your departments justify their budgets, right? Just not an open checkbook?
I still wanna go back to where we were 10 years ago.
Mhm.
That was a challenging time,
Yeah,
especially for you. You were doing a lot of it.
Yeah, it's been nice having someone in-house, so that,
and
it's a positive thing.
yeah, we would definitely, how about this? I can tell you that we would structure in a way that you would feel comfortable with it. I mean, you would have the help you would need, and in some respects, and again, absolutely nothing against Eric, but Eric's one person. You would actually at times have more help than you can get right now in certain situations, so. And, yeah.
Okay, well,
So what's the next step then in looking at different
Well, I think,
options?
so at the IT meeting, we talked about putting an ad together, getting a quote from NGT, updating the job description, and then contacting ICIT to kind of help us with the process. So, but ultimately, you guys have to make the decision whether we're gonna look at NGT or we're gonna go out and look for an employee. So that's where we're at now, is you guys need to tell me which way you wanna go.
I personally need input from the department heads and hear how they
well,
feel.
they were 100% wanting somebody in-house.
And those were all the
Yeah.
department heads
But
in
after
that meeting.
the proposal here, where he is pretty well assured that is probably gonna be taken care of. You know, I mean, there's always gray area, you know, some people
This is
don't
my-
always
Yeah, this is my
deliver
county,
what they promise,
and
but.
I want to make this work. I would really like to, I mean, like I said, we're a good-sized company in the area, and I know it's hard to be a prop in your own land, but I would work very hard to make sure this felt very good to you. So.
Brian, I have a question. This is Julie from the nurse's office.
Hi, Julie.
I have a couple of my aides that chart and my nurses chart from home
Yep.
quite frequently lately with COVID.
Yep.
Sometimes they can't get on their computer and it's after hours when they can chart. Are you willing to be available then to help them?
Absolutely. We've got, it doesn't speak goodly. We have 24/7. We always have somebody on call, if not two people on call. Our help desk is also directly available 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays, but we deal with a lot of 24/7 organizations.
And one of the issues with the Public Safety Center was the after hours taking care of the deputies' computers.
Yeah.
And the reason NGT is there is because they
Yep.
said that they could
Yeah.
take care of that.
Yeah. So, and that's just it. I mean, Eric eventually needs to sleep. So, and this way I have staffing covering the times that need to get covered, and there's always somebody on call for those extra times. So you can get a hold of somebody.
So would we still have a separate contract for the public safety center?
We could structure that however you wanted to. I mean, part of me would say wrap it into one and make it the IT department for the county structure, but it really depends on how you do
I would probably be more
it.
comfortable if we were gonna do it for 1 year.
Mhm.
Start
Separate,
separate.
Yep.
And then look at how it's going.
Absolutely.
Then, cause you've got
Yeah.
another controlling entity over
Yep.
there. The 911 commission has to approve something,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, however that's the structure of that, I'm whatever works out there, so. But again, my intention would be to be in it for the long game, and that means that, I mean, it will work.
This is your hometown county and you have no skin in the game to not perform.
Correct, exactly
And
right.
it's, you don't want that out there.
Nope, exactly, but,
I can't see an advantage for probably both of us if we did put it out there with the ICIT group to bring some candidates in possibly, if there's any available, that if we decided to go with you, you can use that as your recruiting tool for these people that were interested.
yep, there we go. I tell you what, we continue to hire. I mean, we continue to grow and hire, and it's been good, so. Yeah. Are we perfect, and do we have techs that mess up? And absolutely. The advantage is we have a system and a structure to continuously improve, continuously build upon those things. And again, if you have a problem with something that you tell me and we'll deal with it. and we'll make it better.
And if one guy can't get it figured out, you bring in
We
another.
bring another one, yep. And that guy maybe doesn't come back. So,
Yeah.
yep, we actually have one tech that just did not work out well at one organization. That their personalities did not mesh, staffed them somewhere else, they love them. And the person that we put in there simply just did some shuffling, and that's the power of having more than one person. But,
Yeah, Eric is a very, very personable fella, and he's pleasant to be around, and that's what you want, and
Yeah.
someone that's gonna be helping you out with stuff,
Absolutely.
not someone that's standing over your shoulder,
Absolutely.
criticizing your every move.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Makes me think of that Saturday Night Live skit.
Yep, move! Yep, exactly what it is, yep. So, but like I said, it's my county. I will make it work. I won't not only make it work, I'll make it so you're like, yeah, this was a great decision.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, you care that much about it.
I do. I came to Buffalo Center 27 years ago, gonna be here 1 year. You guys just gotta suck people in. It's been a great place to build a business and raise a family.
And my instincts are, and I have nothing against Eric or what he's done or anything, but any time that you can put a job in the private sector, I think it's a better idea than having another public sector job, so. Public sector jobs are needed, just not too many.
No?
I have a question for you. You earlier said that you alluded to that there was some issues at.
We just didn't have an IT person 10 years ago. But we had help from
Yeah, but
NTT,
it was break fix help.
the agreement we had probably wasn't working at the time. It was an evolving thing. Things were coming on hard and fast with the technology. It was a changing time back then.
Yeah.
We had to make a decision how we were gonna change with it,
And then when the public safety,
So after we did, Eric was taking care of everything. And it got to the point where, his workload was getting heavier at night and working with the laptops and that. So the 911 commission decided to contract with NGT separate from what we're doing here. Because 50% of the budget for there comes from the cities.
right,
But, I guess in the interest of knowing as much as we can. And I'd like to see us look at both routes. You know, I think it's a good comparison. And like I said, it'd probably be a good recruiting tool for you to.
And
for us to bring
never hurts to
people
get
in
some
that
good
are
names
interested.
of IT people, so.
Well, it'd be a way to look at numbers.
And what kind of a pool is out there for abilities?
See what the price difference would be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
You gotta
too,
look
is
at the
just that
budget.
we need to look and compare some numbers and see where whatever you decide to offer,
Yep.
bid, whatever
Yep.
is, where it needs to be.
Would we, if we were to also look at the ICIT ad or whatever, would we just work through the committee to come up with that ad?
I've already got ads and
Okay.
stuff put
Yeah.
together, I just need to change the dates and,
I feel like the committee could even just look at those other offers and bring them.
I think it should be a recommendation from the committee.
Absolutely. They know what's necessary.
Well, you know, hopefully enough of the committee is on here today to hear the presentation. Maybe it's something we should have had everybody come in for.
I think we could have a special meeting for that, if you have a committee and he could probably present just to the committee.
Oh, all right, okay, yeah, that way.
Certainly glad to.
I mean, they need to hear the reassurances before they can make an
Yeah.
educated decision themselves, so.
And a timeline.
Yeah, I don't know how long it would take to advertise.
like I said, I probably have an ad, I need to get it updated a little bit. I probably wouldn't use the paper, I'd probably use Indeed, and,
Yeah, where better to find a techie guy than,
yeah, I'm not gonna put an ad in the
I
paper.
think anyone under 40, that's where they
they don't
go.
look at papers, they're all looking at their computers and phones.
So, and then if you would like to get us a proposal
Yeah, put some stuff together.
in the next week or two, that would probably be
Yep.
good. And then we can go from there.
Yeah, because Eric is done in July 1,
July 1, yeah.
July 1.
June 30.
Great.
But he's done on July 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, purely from a experience standpoint and everything else, I mean, a month of handoff time is short.
Yeah.
I mean, if
That's what
this
I'm
isn't,
Yeah, I think we
looking
can
at a
keep
time
moving.
frame.
Yep. I mean, it can be done, and we just did one that was about 2 weeks of handoff time, but it's,
That was about a week and a half.
yeah, and it's tight, but, I mean, the great part is of course, I know Eric and I know he's got some good documentation and some of those things, so that'll make some of that easier regardless of who it is, but there's always quirks in systems, you know, it's like your 180,000 mile Studebaker, you know, well, you gotta kick it here to get, so. That's nice to know something that's been there, so. But, like I said, I will make it so that you'll be very happy. So,
All right, well, that's kind of the direction. Without action, I guess we're probably leaning towards looking at both
Both sides.
routes
all right.
as
So
soon as possible.
communicate with Carla, communicate with, who should we send you stuff? Okay, gotcha, thank you. All right, we'll go from there. So any other questions you guys have for Nick and I?
Nope,
All right,
thanks
well,
for coming,
Hey,
guys.
But
yeah.
not in
you're
here.
fine. All right, we'll talk
Okay.
later. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'll maybe just give you a buzz. Okay, well,
Sounds
sure.
good.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thanks.
Thanks for the time. Yep, thanks.
Okay.
Open forum. Anything else? Open forum.
Yeah, let's see. There you go. And then there's the claim. Here's the paperclip for that one.
No, as I say, that needs one of them high test paper clips that clamp.
It does, that one is not quite cutting the mustard.
So I turn that down. So did you see that picture of your husband from way back when on the Thompson page of Facebook?
No.
Are you on that one?
Mm-mm.
It's the Thompson, kind of the remembrance one.
Oh, no. Where is it at?
On Facebook, it was when your husband worked at the elevator. He looked like he was 16 years old.
It would have been 22, probably.
Is that what it was?
I'll make a motion to approve the Seminole County claims.
Can Julie run up here from? Yeah. She got her steps in.
So,
So I'm trying to find the cost of NGT.
Yeah.
Just because I'm curious.
and how the contract would be worded. Because out there, I think it's still a two-stage contract where it's probably a lesser contract than what we would have. They just kind of upon demand thing, and it's one rate during the day and another way.
You see claims coming up through every now and then for differing amounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and then you even see claims coming through for NGT, does stuff here even to help out Eric as far as time to time.
Oh, yeah, they're coordinated.
So there wouldn't really be major changes to the systems themselves.
No.
I'll second Bill's motion to approve the semi-monthly county claims. So I've got a motion from Jen Sold and a second from Derby to approve the semi-monthly county claims. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. We stand adjourned.